Welcome and shalom. We are having our daily learning in the book of Tehilim, chapter 5. The book of Tehilim, Psalms written by King David himself. It's worth noting that yesterday, one of the people most connected with the name of King David today passed away, and that is Dr. Eilat Mazar. She was an archaeologist, and she's actually the one who uncovered the city of David. She's the one who really discovered where this, the famous city of David that everyone goes to tour. She's the one who discovered it. It's interesting. It's worth noting that archaeologists sort of gave up on finding the place of resting of King David, or actually more specifically the palace where King David was. And the way she found it is she really opened the book, and she did the reading, and she went verse over after verse and really decided that this was the right place to dig based on the psukim, based on the verses. And she was right. It ended up being correct. So may this learning be in her memory. And I'm sure King David owes her a great deal of gratitude for sort of bringing new life to his palace and finding Hezekiah's seal and many other things. The verse begins, chapter 5, Lamnatzech el Anchilot. So every chapter of Tehilim begins with sort of an introduction of where it was said and what context it was said and what it was intended for. And so it starts with a word that actually baffles commentaries. What is the meaning of this word? It starts with the word Lamnatzech el Anchilot. What does it mean? So Lamanatzech means the conductor, the musical conductor. A lot of these psalms were said in the temple, in the Beit HaMikdash. So this is something that was said by the conductor. And but what does El HaNechilot? So there's a few commentaries. One is that it's saying that it's groups of people, many people. But actually, Rashi comments and says this is talking about the troops, the many soldiers. Now, this is not, it's not talking about friendly soldiers, but it's talking about the soldiers that come and attack Israel. So he's saying, we've seen King David speak about his apprehension from his son Avshalom. We've seen him concerned with his domestic enemies, but this is really speaking about the troops that are attacking his kingdom. So that's what King David is speaking to here. So he says, this is a psalm for David talking about the enemy legions that are attacking his kingdom. And he starts off, and this is so relatable, absolutely relatable. Amaraya Azina Hashem, God, listen to my words. Bina Hagigi, be attentive to my thoughts. And Rashi points out, sometimes you're actually too tired to pray. It's just too much. Everything is overwhelming. And so he says, God, listen, sometimes I'm going to ask you to listen to my prayers, but sometimes I'm just going to ask you to listen to, what's in my heart, my feelings, my pain, because not always will those be expressed. Not always will I be able to pray expressing my pain. Not always will I be able to express my fear, but rather I'll need you to listen to me. So he says, listen to even what's in my heart. The next verse is very, very famous. Hakshiva lekol shav'i, listen to my outcry, Malki ve'elokai, my king and my God, ki elecha etpalal, because I pray to you. And this has many beautiful things to it. One is that King David does not always address God in the same way. Sometimes he addresses God as his king, sometimes as his God, a father, a mother, whatever it is. There are different ways we feel at different times, and there are different ways we address God at different times. And sometimes it's king, and sometimes it's father, and sometimes it's whatever it may be. You need to speak your heart, and that's why actually the popularity of the book of Psalms comes from, because it relates to multiple situations in which we find ourselves. It relates to good days, it relates to bad days. It's really something that we can find expressive of what we're saying at any time. So he says, he says, God, listen to me because you are the king that I call out to. And even in virtue of that, even the virtue of me praying should mean something, which is also another beautiful thing. So he goes on, King David, in verse 4. Hashem boker tishma koli God, you will hear my prayer in the morning. In the morning, you will listen to me, and in the morning, you will. I look forward. Not only do I pray, but I look forward to pray. I look forward to speaking to God. He says, God, you do not desire evil. And so I ask you, when these legions, when these soldiers come and attack me, protect me from them, because you don't want evil. You don't want them to do what they want, which is to destroy me. You will not tolerate those who are seeking to wreak destruction and havoc. You hate all those who are operating in crooked ways and seeking to perpetrate injustice. Pasuk Zayin, verse 7, chapter 5, verse 7. Eventually, God, you are the one who causes the annihilation and abolishing of all those who speak deceptive words. Which is why someone who is bloodthirsty and deceptive is going to despise God. And Rashi points out this is talking about Esau, who also was a man of bloodshed and a man of deception. And so that type of person despises God and often takes that frustration out on the righteous. Verse 8, Vani berov chasdecha, with your graciousness, avo beitecha, will come to your house. I will bow down to your house, to your sanctuary, with fear, with awe. And it's interesting and noteworthy that King David, his greatest dream was to build. Oh, hello! I see we have more people joining. Hello! Thank you for joining. So it's interesting to note, King David actually did not build the temple. God told him he was not allowed to. And it was his greatest dream. We're going to see throughout the book of Psalms, book of Tehilim, how King David really, his dream is to build a home for God, to build a sanctuary for God. But God says, listen, you, because of all the wars that you fought, all the battles that you fought, your hands are filled with blood. Even though you may have done it with good intentions, etc., still, you cannot build my temple. So he says, God, with your graciousness, I may one day come to your home. And also, when I do so, I will do it with the right intentions. Because of all the goodness you do, and because of my awe from you, I will eventually come to your home. Now he continues, Hashem necheni b'tzidkatecha l'man shorai. God, please guide me in your righteous path for the sake of those who seek my adversity. And he says, which is so important. Sometimes we're confused. We're like, should I do this? Should I not? Should I follow this path? Should I not? King David says, God, please just straighten your path ahead of me. Let me see your path in a straight way. Make it easy to do good. Make it easy to follow in the right path and to do good things. That's what he's saying here. God, please make it easy for me to do the right thing. And he now says, look, I don't want to be like those who are the adversaries of God. He says they have nothing righteous in their mouth. They're always looking to cause trouble. And kever patuach goronam, and even though their throat is like an open, this is very graphic, he says their throat is like an open grave, still, yachliku b'lshonam, and their tongue slips you into the open grave, which is a pretty, forceful analogy. He's saying the wicked people, what do? Their mouth is like a grave. They're looking to swallow you. And their tongue is this smooth thing that brings you in and lets you slide in. So they say things that they don't mean, and hence they mislead people to join them. And so he says, God, please make sure these wicked people stumble. Because they are so evil, you should make them, you should send them away, because they have violated your word. וישמחו כל חוסי בך לעולם ירננו, because they will, all those who sort of bask in your light, those who take shelter with you, will be happy with you. And you will, it's like a sukkah, you will put your hand over them and put shade over them. And those who love you will rejoice. Because you, God, are going to bless the righteous. And just like a shield covers the person, and just like clothing covers the body, God protects the righteous. And so he says, may you also protect me. I want to take this opportunity to really thank everyone for joining. So many, I see, really, it's nice to have you join. I really appreciate it. And God willing, we'll continue tomorrow. I apologize for the inconsistency with the timing, and hope that we can get things more steady 12 o'clock. But thank you for joining. Very much appreciated. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow.